And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather Show, coming at you on Sunday night here. And by the way, what do you think of our new time slot? We've got a fairly quiet sun here, not a lot going on. Although some space weather has been happening the past few days, we'll talk about it here at the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. This is the past 24 hours of the closest star from Solar Dynamics Observatory. And here we've added 211 angstroms to the 171 angstroms. Little bit of coronal hole activity, little bit of CME incoming activity. And we'll show you some more detailed imagery here in a minute. First, we'll take a brief look at sunspots. There is November 25th and November 26th to date. Mostly stable there, no major growth or evaporation of sunspot groups. Here is our magnetogram for the same period. And let's briefly talk volcanoes, but first, please support the channel. If you haven't pressed the like button, please do so. Do it now. Do it now. Press like. And support the channel via clicks. Of course, we created smashomash.com way back in February of 2019. So visit us on social media, press the share button, etc. Press the things, share, subscribe, comment, and of course like, or even press dislike. We'd rather have you press dislike than nothing. Up to 60% off on the Redbubble shop, and these are some paid promotions. The public service message is also our top seller. Do not pole vault the caldera, folks. Our finest days lie ahead, so if you're going through hell, keep going. If you're going on a volcanic vacation, leave the vault pole at home. Don't pole vault the caldera, folks. Again, that is our top seller. Up to 60% off at the Redbubble shop. Another place to pick up some gear is from our book list. Are you an ornithologist? Are you into going out or going birding? Yeah, check out the National Geographic Bird Book. It's at our Amazon shop, amazon.com/shop/smashomash, and of course, also the Hemp Lucid shop. Enter the promo code SMASHOMASH10 and save 10% on your checkout. SMASHOMASH10 saves you as many percent. HempLucid.com, another one of our paid affiliates. If you want additional content, consider becoming a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/SmashTeam. Again, we've launched a massive web ring in order to benefit people like you. Additional content available over there at Smash Team thanks to our Smash Team members. And there's an important bulletin coming for Gold Smash Team members here shortly. Next, going over volcanoes, and we have a short list here on Volcano Discovery. I don't know what's going on Volcano Discovery, but for some reason, not showing the full list of volcanoes lately. So it's showing Popocatépetl. It's producing a 21,000-foot ash plume, flight level 210 over central Mexico. Nothing else listed. No apparent new activity. Oh, there's a Smash Team site. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, there's a Smash Team site. And as far as new activity at Iceland, no apparent new eruption happening over there. Next, briefly looking at earthquakes. We'll cite the quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude for the past 24 hours. There are the past 90 days, by the way. And here are the 5 and greater magnitude quakes. One near Taiwan. That was at 4:11 this morning on the 26th. Pretty calm as far as earthquakes go. Most of the activity there in the West Pacific. Philippines had a 5.1 as well. That was at 8:24. Universal time this morning. Then Japan at 9:39 had a 5.2. Vanuatu had a 5.4 at 11:42. And I do believe that is it for 5 and greater magnitude quakes. Oh, one more in South America there at Argentina, 5.0 at 20:44 Universal time this evening. And back to space we go. Here is some more detailed imagery for you from SDO. It's another 24-hour view in The epic 193 plus 304 angstroms carbon cargo combo wavelength. That's the word, combo. Yeah, the combo wavelength. And here's a close-up of this little crown prominence, currently hanging out around the North Polar region. When a filament overlaps the edge of the solar disk, we call it a prominence. It is the same feature. Here's our equatorial zoom. Again, not a lot of big changes, not a lot of flaring, not a lot of CME activity in the past 24 hours. The sun continues to withhold plasma. If you're wondering where it is, please leave a comment. We also have a southern crown prominence, and you can see some quite large plasma filaments down there. South of those active regions in the southern hemisphere, you might see a massive filament there. North of the Earth scale, south of those bright spots. And there is that south crown prominence. And expect to see more and more of these in the coming year or so. We are expecting solar maximum to show up sometime around, I would say, September of 2024. Another indication that the solar cycle is a much stronger solar cycle than solar cycle 24. Not even close, no real comparison. And the 10.7 centimeter radial flux came back up a little bit here, now back up to 180 solar flux units. 180 is the radial flux. There's the 1 year chart. The black line represents the F107. The red line represents the sunspot number. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here citing the fact that there are some CMEs on the way. Actually, a coronal hole high-speed stream and a coronal mass ejection. The CME expected to arrive around late on the day on the 26th. Monday night. So Monday night CME impact expected, coronal hole high-speed stream likely coming tomorrow. So possibility of solar storm activity here continues for the coming days. Into Tuesday morning, by the way. Next, Earth magnetic moment from space. So there's what's been going on for the past 4 hours. Let's bring this back so we get the whole run. There's a 4-hour run for you. Our Geospace magnetosphere movie. It shows likely areas of magnetohydrodynamic pressure. And we are back to rather nominal conditions here. Just a slightly elevated solar wind speed, I think it is. We'll get to it here momentarily. Next, Earth magnetic moment from the ground. Again, geomagnetically calm conditions here. This depicts magnetic flux density. And a little bit of a lull in the action here. Expected to resume midday tomorrow. And then once again, Monday night into Tuesday morning. So again, that's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And the current status of geomagnetism is KP 1.33. KP 1.33 is the calm geomagnetic condition at the moment. Current conditions from ACE. Wait a minute. There's ACE, and those really aren't current conditions. There's a bunch of missing data there. So let's just skip the ACE and go to the Discover. There's some more current conditions. Solar wind velocity here about 460 kilometers a second. Solar wind density 6 protons per cubic centimeter. We can expect to see a significant signal when we see the coronal hole high-speed stream show up. Expect a density wave and then a density dip and a velocity increase. That is a steady signal. So sometime around midday tomorrow, NOAA's forecasting that. I have no reason to disagree with that forecast. Next, our GOES magnetometers. And expect smoother curves until more space weather arrives. There you can see a couple of space weather stormy conditions in there. And next, our ecliptic plane field plot, showing the heliosphere in terms of its magnetism from a top view perspective. This is super interesting as it provides some predictive value. Earth does remain in a North Pole-oriented sector, it looks like. Although it looks like the South Pole sector will likely be here by tomorrow's daily space weather video. So we'll have to see what happens there, but South Pole sector is coming. So in the next, I would say the next 12 to 15 hours, we can expect a sector boundary crossing there, Earth moving into a South Pole heliospheric magnetism. Next is our line of sight field plot. And always great, shows a lot of information there, the magnetism of the photosphere, the magnetism of the corona. Next, our line of sight ecliptic plane field plot. One of our newer additions to the daily space weather videos. And here is our line of sight coronal hole plot. We've got South Pole coronal holes rotating in here around the eastern equator. And we'll take a look at those next from SDO. So there's the latest image. South Pole coronal holes over here, really all around the rim except the South Polar region and up the center disk. So these are north. And all the rest of these are south. So that's a 24-hour video for you from, once again, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. And there's a little closer view. Once again, expecting some enhancements from that coronal hole that is rotating through. Next is sunspots. And sunspot number here just hanging out around 180. So 180 sunspots is the current state of affairs. Here's our flare probability monitor. We do have a couple spots where we do have large flares somewhat likely. It certainly looks like 3,500. So 3,500 and also this large sunspot group. So the northwest and the southeast, basically these areas right here, are where we could expect to see the possibility of large flares. Let's take a look at sunspots. Here we've included the SDO 131 angstroms to highlight the active regions. And of course the HMI continuum. Here's just sunspots, just the continuum. So a little bit of growth actually up there in the northwestern limb. So this is actually becoming a hot spot for flares up here now. So we could see those produce some large flares as they are getting in quite close proximity to the limb there. So also Earth-facing quiet is expiring for these sunspots. So they'll become more likely to produce large flares in the next coming couple of days. But there you go. Not a lot of changes in the past 24 hours. To show some more subtle changes, or in this case, a lack thereof, there's the magnetogram. Another 24-hour video. And that's what approximately 180 sunspots looks like. Next, looking at energetic particles and solar flares, but first, a quick reminder to press the like button. Yes, you must press like or the video will stall here forever, and I'll just complain about how we don't have enough likes on today's video. Folks, we don't have enough likes on today's video. We don't know what we're going to do if we don't receive more likes. We may have to fold up the channel. We may have to make you sit on a hill on a folding lawn chair and fold up you if you don't press like. Seriously, though, if you're mad about my asking you to press like, make sure you leave a rage comment. Make sure you leave a rage comment. And also, make sure you submit ideas for next week's Ask a Particle Physicist segment. So the way this is going to work is, by Wednesday, we need to have a question for our Ask a Particle Physicist segment. And then by Wednesday, I send the question to the particle physicist. And then by Friday, I get an answer. And then we do the segment on Friday. It's another reason to survive the next week, our Ask a Particle Physicist segment. Since a lot of people are concerned about what's going on in terms of particle physics, seems like a good idea to me. Let us know what you think in the comments. Next, the ghost proton flux here. No spikes. We could see some. Currently, we ain't got none. X-ray flux here has been dipping, actually. So really, it is a little decline in solar activity here, although mostly stable. X-ray flux has dropped, so background flux here barely staying above a C level. C1.2 is about the background X-ray flux at the moment, for the past 24 hours at least. And here come the 94 plus 131 angstroms wavelengths. So again, folks, there is some increased likelihood of a large solar flare in the northwest, but mainly from this sunspot down here, that's 3500, and this series of massive close-together sunspots moving now into the northwestern quadrant. Moving right along to a star chart. We like to show our viewers what's going on, if you should go outside and look up at the sky. So that's what's going on over our head. If you want to make your own, head to skyandtelescope.org, put in your location, and you can do that. We've got Saturn, we've got Jupiter, we've got the moon there, approaching its full phase. And here comes a solar system forecast. That is from theplanetstoday.com. Anyway, that's where things are today. Here's where things will be in 1 week. December 3rd is only 1 week away. That's where things will be on that day. And the astronomy photo of the day is interesting. This is the OSIRIS mission detecting the origin of a cometary jet. How cool is that? So, yeah, and notice how rocky this comet looks. So that's Comet 67P. And by the way, OSIRIS flew right through that jet and analyzed what it contained. And guess what it contained? Not just ice, but also dust. Yeah, ice and dust. We're blasting off. There it is, a great terrain view. How'd you like to take a walk on Comet 67P? You would not weigh very much. But anyway, fascinating there in actual imagery of the jets spontaneously coming out of the ground there. Comet 67P, the astronomy photo of the day. An icy, dusty jet. And let's move on to CMEs. CMEs, they've been quite mild here, although at least one more on the way. See yesterday's daily space weather video if you'd like to get more info on that. I don't decide to do redundant things and talk about yesterday's content. Anyway, there's 106 frames from yesterday, and here are 92 more from today. A little bit of activity there. We could have another earthly directed event. Fingers crossed. Let's see, what do we see here? Right at the beginning. Oh, that's the one from yesterday. Oh, darn. Looks like no more new Earth-directed coronal mass ejections, but let's make sure by checking our other sources here. Instead of showing those, let's just show the close-ups. There's midday yesterday. And it looks like some missing frames. I'm sorry, that was midday today. We'll let that play through in its entirety. not a lot going on there. As far as new ejecta, very quiet, in fact. Stereo A will probably agree, but let's check. There's where it's located. Finally getting some angle on the Earth. So we do have the left a little bit ahead of the right there. The left is the raw imagery. The right is the difference. So most of that ejecta was already headed out early this morning. Since then, not a lot going on. As far as CMEs, we'll also show our custom views. There's a 24-hour video. A little bit of modest ejecta there is really all you're going to see. And here's just 304 plus 193 SDO. That is ionized iron and helium. And let's take a look at hydrogen. So here's our hydrogen alpha imagery from Big Bear. Again, a lot of filaments here. Let's take a brief count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So at least a dozen significant filaments. Well, we could say 13. We'll say 12. 12 quite significant filaments there. And here's a grayscale imagery. We saw more prominentiary features around the eastern limb yesterday. Those look like they've settled down, so perhaps some active regions that were about to rise evaporated, or maybe they weren't sunspots or particularly active regions after all. We don't see any new activity there rising in the east. So maybe something happening down here, maybe something up here, but those prominences are smaller than they were yesterday. I guess the likelihood went down. And before we get to bonus features, don't forget to press like. And don't forget to follow us over on Twitter. Yeah, x.com/smashomash. Go follow us over there. Thanks to our 0 new followers over on Twitter. Social media, it's about as social as chaining yourself to the wall in the basement and eating canned peas only for a month. Before we get to bonus features, here are the past couple of hours from the GOES 18 SUVI. And we do see a little bit of activity happening right in this active region here. And let's do bonus features. So first in our bonus segment is charging hazards. We don't have any. It's smooth sailing. No surface or internal charging. No high-energy electrons building up inside of a spacecraft, and no low-energy electrons building up on spacecraft. GOES electron flux here coming up off the floor. That's the past 3 days from the GOES 16 and GOES 18. There's the 1-year graph to contextualize. So we should see a little uptick here in the electron flux in the coming day or two. Yeah. And NOAA's forecast agrees. So electron flux slated to rise here. That looks logical to me. What do you think? If you disagree, agree, or don't care at all, let us know in the comments. Next, we'll show the layer where it's measured, the F layer. Are you effed? Do you know where the F layer is? It's right here. It's at about 300 kilometers of altitude. Here it is. And of course, its thickness does vary with day and night. It gets more layers in the daytime, especially around the equator at noon. And we are seeing quite a lot of low-frequency anomalies, especially in the southern hemisphere. Keep in mind it is springtime down there. So geomagnetic storm conditions simmering down will show up there more than in the north. Here is the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And again, quite a lot of low-frequency anomaly, especially south of the equator. But things are subsiding here, so while there is more space weather on the way, we should see a temporary calm. Anyway, there's the latest image, 2245 Universal Time Ionogram, and there is the anomalygram. And next is the WAM, the whole atmosphere model. Total electron content on the left, maximum usable frequency on the right. We also like to show total electron content by itself. It's free electrons to about 12,500 miles of altitude, the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. And there you go. Starting to look more like normal here. I don't know if this total electron content forecast was reevaluated or if there are different variables or what the deal is, but it's been looking jacked up for like a month. Although the anomaly from the 10-day average over North America looks legit. So that's what's going on for North America's total electron contents. That should help you out with the likelihood of GPS errors. And here's the final segment of space weather. Before we get to Earth weather, there's the latest magnetogram and SDO continuum. No further analysis necessary. It's time for meteorology. And I was looking at ocean temperatures. Yeah, ocean temperatures. Which is what that is. That's sea surface temperature and surface winds. Just looking at this little spot in the North Atlantic here. It's only 44.3 degrees. And actually, that's quite anomalously cold. That's like 9 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. So a little patch of cold water there. But right next to it is a patch of warm water. And up here off of New Jersey, there's some quite warm water there, over nearly 11 degrees above normal. So anyway, that's sea surface temperature anomaly, and surface winds will show it for the whole planet. There is the Arctic Ocean, Atlantic, Southern Ocean, Indian Ocean, and the behemothly epic, gargantuan body of water, Earth's largest, the Pacific. Anyway, these are the surface winds of the east, and these are the jet streams. Surface winds of the central world. There you go. I mean jet streams. Yeah, that's what it is, jet streams. Those are the surface winds. Surface winds of the west. There you have it. And there are the jet streams for the Americas. Strong concentrated jet stream over the central U.S. as a convergence is happening. Cold plus warm air does indeed lead to precipitation. Here are clouds and fog and rapid cloud nucleation once again happening over Brazil. That is clouds and fog from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. Next, our snow forecast. That's the next 3 days. This snow forecast brought to you by the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, as well as windy.com. So that's the Euro forecast for snow for the next 3 days. There is the GFS forecast, and you can see how similar they are over 3 days. Watch what happens when you go to 10 days. They'll get all wacky. There's the GFS, and there's the Euro. Actually, not that far off from each other. But we prefer to show 3-day forecasts because those tend to be accurate. Anyway, that's the scenario. The Euro forecast and the GFS. What the? It must have just updated. There's the GFS, and there is the Euro model. Anyway, weather.gov has got some forecasts, like a bunch of freeze warnings in California, a bunch of weather in Hawaii, as well as in Alaska. Some windy conditions up the East Coast and in the Gulf. Weather.gov is where to get your warnings. And here comes some forecasts. GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation is first. Accumulated positive snow depth change in inches is second. GFS 72-hour model is the model and time frame. Last but not least, temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius, 72-hour GFS model. Cold temperatures to move across the Mississippi Valley, across the Ohio Valley, and into the Atlantic. So that's what's going on. Next is lightning. And here's where the strikes have been. Brazil. Looks like Brazil has been the lightning capital of the world for the past few weeks. Springtime. It's an exciting place for springtime. Anyway, here are real-time lightning maps, courtesy of lightningmaps.org. And what do we got? We got some Gulf lightning. Minor. Just minor stuff, folks. Only 63 strikes per minute right now. And let's close this thing out with U.S. Doppler. You may want to see the full 50 state. We're going to focus on the lower 48. It's soggy, it's cold, it's gruesome outside. There is the clouds and fog shortwave radiation map. And there is the water vapor. Here is the recap. When you look at your Doppler and it's not clear, try looking at clouds and fog. And if it's still not clear, try looking at the water vapor map. That will speak volumes, especially if you understand atmospheric physics. Anyway, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back. I'm going back to the bunker again. Whoa!